Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Good evening and welcome to Delving Deeper. I am your host, Ayana Carter. Now, Carnival is 2 weeks away. So for our discussion this evening, we are going to be focusing on several aspects of our Carnival. And so, joining us this evening, Chairman of the National Carnival Commission, Winston Gypsy Peters, Education Officer at Trinbago, Marcus Ash, and last and by no means least, Jerome Precilla. And he's the president of the Promoters Association. So good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
And thank you for joining us on Delving Deeper again. Joining us
Yes,
again
on
Delving Deeper. So Carnival, Monday, 2 weeks away. Mr. Peters, the annual Carnival events, most are already underway. So what can you tell us about what's happening so far?
Well, you said it the right way. You said that it's on the way and it's well on its way. You see, people, Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival is not just 2 days, that's a culmination.
Yeah.
Our Carnival really starts like 3-4 months ago, actually, because our Carnival starts with the launching of the bands and the other fetes that we are having and all the things like that. So now we are well into the official Carnival countdown. And everything is a go. Everything is really a go. We just start the downtown stand, and that would be finishing time. We are having the handover of the north stand. The contractors are handing it over to us. So we are going to be all ready for Panorama, which is really the big event, the first big event. And we are having a wonderful time, and everything is in train.
Yeah. And what about you, Marcus? You know, we mentioned Pan. You know, we anticipating that event, well, those two events, the semifinals and the finals. So tell us a little bit about how that's been.
Well, the planning for that has been on the way. We just last evening, we were at the grandstand doing a walkthrough of the venue. I saw the north stand up and more or less looking prepared, so I was excited. The ticket sales are going crazy. As soon as I leave here, I have to go and hand over a couple hundreds. So we have the north stand, the pussies are coming out in their numbers, ordering by the hundreds. So we estimate it to be quite a success. The junior panorama would have started the ball rolling there, and the finals for the medium band in Tobago, and the finals for the large bands. It's looking good so far.
It's sounding good so far. And Ro, I mean, we fetting long time, right? I mean, fetting knows that. So tell us how so far the season is for
So this carnival is unique because it's a short season. So what we see in the fetting calendar is that for short seasons, two things usually happen. Is that you have some fetes that are cancelled and you have some fetes that are sold out. Because of how short it is, the fetes that usually may have their own night, now you have to fight up with many different events happening on the same night. So you would find a lot of the time, some of the smaller events will end up having to sit out at this carnival, and then some of the bigger ones, they would end up being sold out because they would take the majority of the people. So we have been seeing that trend. It happens every time we have a short season, so there's nothing new to us. So far, a lot of the events that I've been to were sold out. I mean, CIC Fed sold out. We had Experience, 10,000 people there, sold out. So we're happy to see those partnerships between Trinbago and the promoters happening, and we keep on encouraging more partnerships, even with the NCC as well, for us to keep building the carnival landscape when it comes to.
Do you think that I mean, you mentioned that some of the parties, they either make or they cancel. Has that had any effect on the way that promoters would probably market the events, especially since this is really a short season?
Yeah, so when a short season comes around, you would see heavy marketing early from all Christmas time. You would see people starting to market the events because it's a jostle for your position. In terms of a Fed calendar, it is something like real estate, that people don't understand. When a Fed promoter marks his date, it comes like you buy a piece of land on the Fed calendar. So you had to defend your turf. And in terms of the reality of it, there's only so many partying patrons that you have out there. So everyone has to kind of fight for the attention of these people to go to these fetes. And it's only the average person will only go to one fete for the night. So if you have 5 fetes in one night, everybody has to up their marketing game to attract this party-going audience to come to your fete. And that is just the business of Carnival.
Yeah.
And any business that's how it would work as well. Too.
Yeah. Now, Mr. I call him Mr. Peter.
Call me
Wait, I'm a
Gypsy.
Gypsy, right?
Call me Gypsy, it's fine.
So tell me a little bit about what the crowd response is like for the events that NCC is spearheading.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, as a matter of fact, all the events that we have in for Carnival is the NCC that's really having it. The truth about it is we promote Carnival in its entirety, and people promote the things that they're actually having within all of that. So all the events are really NCC's events, but the ones that we're having up in the Savannah, fantastic response. The village is full all the time, day and night actually. The Calypso tent up there has been very, very, very good. The response is very good to the Calypso tent in the Savannah, in Calypso, in Carnival City, as we call the Savannah. I would really like to have a permanent name for a place like that in Trinidad and Tobago, because Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago is permanent. It is here to stay. And this is the mother of all Carnival. This is the home of Carnival. This is where this type of Carnival came from, and we must not allow the world to forget that. So I believe that we should have a branded space, a real branded space in Trinidad and Tobago called Carnival City, you know, where you would always go year-round and find carnival activities. You will find a museum there. You know, I was in Barranquilla earlier in the year in Colombia, and I visited their museum. Not for the first time that I visited a museum that piqued my interest in terms of having these things in Trinidad, but that particular one, it is dedicated to their carnival, because they have a carnival there that started many, 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 many years ago, like ours. I was thinking that ours was the oldest at one point in time, but no. Mexico's carnival, Mexico has a carnival that predates our carnival, maybe by 100 years or thereabout. So, all these things I learned when you go to all these things and people gather with the carnival. But coming back to the museum and this named place, I would like to see Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm saying this and I'm saying it for the government to hear really, because we need to have a space in Trinidad called Carnival City. And it is going to make back its money, by the way, because to answer your question about how the participation and thing is very, very, very good. All the Rome just attested the fact that the fetes that are on are all successful. It's the same thing with the events that we have up there. It's all successful.
Yeah. What about any of the challenges that you may have?
Well, we always have challenges, and basically the challenges are always financial. Because this year we had a shortfall, not a shortfall from last year and from the following year of about $6 or $7 million, and we have to do the same things that we have to do. You see, Carnival needs more money. Carnival needs more money, and we have to recognize that. And people have to stop thinking in Trinidad and Tobago that Carnival is wasting money, and when the government put money into Carnival, it is not well spent. The only reason why the pan became the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago is because of Carnival. The only reason why the steel pan is recognized by the United Nations now is because of Carnival, because it would not have been so profound if we did not have something in Trinidad and Tobago called Carnival. Carnival means a lot to us. Carnival doesn't take a cent away from Trinidad and Tobago. It brings money into Trinidad and Tobago. All these fetes that you're talking about that have 5,000 and 6,000 and how many thousands of people, all this is money that Carnival generates. Because if it wasn't for Carnival, these fetes wouldn't exist. A lot of it would not have, most of the things that are existing around this time in the intensity that it is existing with would not have existed. Carnival means a lot to our country. Carnival is a gross foreign exchange earner. And more than that, the monies that is expended by the government on Carnival doesn't go anywhere but back to the Treasury of Trinidad and Tobago and to people's bank account in Trinidad and Tobago that is invariably going to be spent back into the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. And that's quite apart from the monies that we are bringing into the country that also going to stay here.
Yeah.
So yes, Carnival, the fets are good. The events that we are having are good. We have a lot of events that are free to the public because we have to give back something because this is subvented by the government and not everybody in the country could pay to go to these other fets and whatever we are having. So it is incumbent upon the NCC to ensure that we put something in place for everybody. And I know Rome always complaining about how much money we have to pay in excess to the security forces we have in the country. And that is so. And that creates an impediment to a lot of us. And not more than that, and I would say it because some people, he might not want to say it, but I would say it because that's how I am. When you tell them you want 100 police, you're not sure if you even get in the 100 police inside the day when you really check it. They tell you need 100 police. When you check on them inside the day, you ain't getting no 100 police inside the day and that you're paying for. Is it right? Because we check some from time to time and you're not finding that. And even when they come, they're supposed to come and stay from let's say 10 to 3 or 10 to 4 or whatever. When you look inside there, by the time you look around, all of them gone somewhere. You don't even. So it's a lot of things that we need in the Carnival to make sure that it is well, run and well protected and well. Because we pay for it. We pay too much for it.
Yeah. Well, let's go to you, Rome. Some of the challenges, I know Gypsy would have mentioned the security issues, that kind of thing. Could you just expand on that?
I think what I would really like to see is that the government really takes Carnival, and not only Carnival, the entertainment sector and the orange economy more seriously in terms of it being a viable source of revenue and foreign exchange versus give NCC a couple $100 million, well, not a couple hundred, call you ain't get 200 million yet. Right? I know you want 200 million. But a lot of the time, government come, government go. A lot of the time what we see is that people will just give NCC money and say, okay, this is the Carnival. And that is a monkey off their back because they're saying that they're giving back to the culture. But what we're not seeing is the fostering of an industry, of a creative industry, of where we could have our products exported and where we could be attracting more and more tourists into the country. And that could only happen if you have a proper infrastructure in place. So what we see as some of the challenges as the Promoters Association, when all you see these nice fets happening, you don't see that promoters every day I get messages with, they're having issues with the police, they're having issues with the CMOs, which are like the copyright organizations, they're having issues with venues. And I would just touch quickly on each of those. With the police, for years we have the same issue that Gypsy talking about with the police. And this year we have seen where we had really nice meetings with the police where we sat, they heard all of the difficulties and challenges that we're facing, and they understood and they agreed, okay, we're going to work these things out. We reached to the position where we are about to sign an MOU. But again, things dragging along. We into the Carnival season, you know, saying it's 2 weeks away from Carnival. We are in discussions with the police since last year. And we're wondering, well, why we reached this point where we're 2 weeks away from Carnival and we can't come to an agreement where the things that we sit on a table and we discuss can't be signed off on. And then a lot of the time in the police service is that we agree things on a high level, but it never trickles down to the officers below. So something we might agree on a high level in a meeting here, when we reach to getting your license for the FET, somebody have their own opinion of what it should be, which is terribly wrong because these things had to be passed down. That is one, in terms of the police. So, two is the courts. Sometimes promoters, up to now, you have a FET on a Saturday, you get in your court date Tuesday. So, if you have any query with the police strength that they issue, you have no time to even query this because your FET is Saturday, so it's either you pay the court or you're having no FET.
Right.
So then now we have a new issue now with the CMOs, the copyright organizations. There are 3 different copyright organizations in Trinidad and Tobago, and they're all fighting against each other for who collecting the rights to the artists. Gypsy is an artist, right? I am an artist myself. And we have different CMOs that represent the artists, and they're fighting amongst themselves, and the promoters feeling the pinch because now you have a situation where you go to the court and the court telling you where they need to get a license, a music license from each of the different CMOs. which to the promoter not making sense. We want to be able to pay one copyright license and let all of them fight up among themselves over who they're going to collect. That has nothing to do with the promoter. How many licenses you all really want us to have? So we face that as another new challenge now in this entire space. And then again, each of these entities trying to reinvent the wheel. So it's the same thing with the police. We have to remind them, guys, we are not the only police service in the world, and we are not the only place in the world that have events. There are other places in the world that have events, and they have a method of how they calculate police strength. Let's tap into that, find out how they do it, and implement it here. Finally, we came to agreement, but it has not been implemented. Then now with the CMOs, it's the same thing. They have their own method of how they're calculating how much they're going to be charging for the fets. And then we're like, how are they distributing this? A lot of artists disgruntled with these CMOs and saying they're not getting their money. So now the promoter pay any money to these CMOs, and then a lot of the artists complaining, well, I ain't getting any money. Who get any money? Where the money going? So again, not proper infrastructure in place for these things to happen.
Yeah.
With the venues, promoters are always in the public light with residents complaining where there's noise in the area and all of that. And it's because there are not enough designated spaces for events to happen in Trinidad and Tobago. So you have residents who have elderly people there complaining about the noise, but then what you want us to do? We are a party in public. Everybody that knows Trinidad and Tobago, the first thing they'll tell you is Carnival.
Yeah.
So how you expect to have a carnival and what, you want us to wear earmuffs? No, carnival is going to be noise. Music can be played softly and quietly and as a whisper. It is a party. And we're not saying that we want to disturb people. We definitely not. Because we had to abide by the laws governed by the EMA and all of that. They run in their place. But you need to put spaces where we are not disturbing anyone and you can have events properly. We used to go down Shagaramas and have a party. At a point in time, CDA come out and say, you're disturbing the monkeys. So it's like, on one hand, you're disturbing people. The next hand, you're disturbing monkeys. You want to have a party on the beach, you come on out.
Disturbing the water, man.
Yeah, the turtle can't sleep now. So it's always something, and it's always where you push the entertainment sector on a back burner because Trinidad and Tobago spoiled by oil and gas. So until we get our minds out of oil and gas, we're never going to see that change, and we always beg for it. And that is what we face.
What about Pan?
I just want to, on
Sure,
what
yeah.
he's saying there, Port of Spain has been designated a creative city of music by UNESCO.
Yes.
And part of that designation come from our culture through music and what we have to offer the world. And that designation in itself, I would have seen the benefits of it where exchanges would have been occurring between Trinidad and Tobago or Port of Spain and other countries that have that designation as well. I think and I put this back on you, Chairman Gypsy, is that we really need to focus on educating the public on the economics of Carnival and the arts and those things, because it is evident you go on social media. I hate to read the comments of any daily media house when they put an article, because the comments below is insane when you don't understand the economics of Carnival. Challenges by Trinbago. I think more or less Trinbago, and I always say we are built on resilience and we know how to rebound. That's how Steel Pan was birthed. And there's no challenge for Trinbago that we can't overcome. We always make the best of what we have given the situation and accomplish what we need to do. We low on manpower and human resources. Yeah. We figure out. I mean, my biggest challenge right now is there's not enough hours in the day. But that's the
That's mine too.
I think that's a challenge for all of us, right?
I had 3 hours sleep before, like last night, which was actually plenty compared to.
What you're saying there is so true. But I want to tell you something, right? When we talk about Carnival, we got to go back to the antecedents of Carnival. We got to go back to how Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago started. We got to go back to, there are people in Trinidad and Tobago who are the descendant of people who actually hate Carnival. And unfortunately, they are still around today. We were taught in this country, and in some cases, in some people, it's innate. We were taught, we created the steel pan. We were taught to hate the steel pan. We were taught in my time that if you were playing a steel pan, you were a hooligan and you were prohibited from doing it from your home. We were taught that mass is nothing that we should play because mass is a bad thing and it's a devil thing and it has nothing to do with God and what have you. We were taught to hate calypso. We were taught that in this country. Not that it came about. We were taught to hate it. It was something that you shouldn't do. They will beat you if you're singing calypso. They will beat you because, calypso came about because they didn't want us to sing whatever else. And we use calypso to mock Massa. And we use calypso to show and make a fool out of him. So they prohibited that. They didn't want us to beat the drums. So we created the steel pan. So they were taught to hate that. A lot of people don't know that the characters that we see in Carnival today, and they look at it as devil thing and bad thing, that is a contributor to our own freedom that we, especially black people, and I make no apology for saying that, especially black people in this country enjoy today. Because those characters like the devil and thing is the massa we was mocking. And the devil man with the book and all of that. Yeah. It is the massa that we was mocking for him not to know. And we playing is something from somewhere else. And that is why I cherish these characters so much. Carnival is, to us, everything. They teach you to hate whining to a mind. Yeah? Well, yeah. You can't whine. Because when you whine in Carnival, that's a bad thing. But you could go to an opera and that's fine. You see people dancing. You could go to Egypt and you see belly people. That's their culture. And that's fine. But we were taught to hate every ingredients that actually makes up this thing called Carnival. And we now have to decommission people's mind from that. And we are trying, and we are doing a good job in a lot of ways because parties now have 5 and 10 and 15,000 people. But Carnival is so powerful. Let me tell you something. Even the people who hate Carnival contributes to Carnival and they don't know. So the fact remains is they're contributing to the Carnival economy. And they don't even know that. They don't even know that that's what they're doing. Even when they go up there and telling people how bad Carnival is when they're on the camp and stuff, okay? That in itself is contributing to the success of Carnival.
But Diana, let me just hijack you a little bit here based on what Gypsy would have said in terms of the economy on Carnival. But Gypsy, what we see now is that, and I'm not sure how you would weigh in on this, but we are seeing on our end that our Carnival could be in some trouble. And here's why I would say that in terms of the economy of the Carnival landscape is that what we started to see this year based on two things. One was based on the crime and two was based on the cost of Carnival is that there's talk worldwide now that Trinidad Carnival could be in trouble in terms of the economy of Carnival. And we have foreigners who would usually come here for Carnival. One is the crime because Trinidad and Tobago's crime rate has spiked. So people have this issue of, well, okay, it may not be the safest thing. We remind them that no matter how much crime we have in Trinidad and Tobago, Carnival is one period at a time. It is always safe, right? You could go back in history where sometimes they were even asking to cancel Carnival because of the crime rate. And I remember that. And when you look at the data in terms of how many serious crimes has happened during that Carnival period is minimal. So that's one part. But the next part of it that is a bit troubling for us is the cost of Carnival to a foreigner. Yeah. So what we have seen now, and this is something that you all had to start to pay attention to, Gypsy, is that the hotel accommodation is getting really expensive. The Airbnbs are expensive. The cost of the flights are expensive. And then the cost of the costumes, the cost of the fare tickets, the food prices, if you saw inflation on food has gone up about 17%. So when you look at a person who looking at coming to Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival as a vacation and as an experience, when they start comparing that to other destinations, now they're looking and say, well, I ain't sure, Trinidad Carnival getting a little bit too pricey for me. Let me try Jamaica, or let me try Miami, or let me try Caribana, or let me try Notting Hill, where they will get an experience. Now, what we remind them is that Trinidad and Tobago is the Mecca. So no matter where else you go in the world, you will never get the same experience that we have here. However, you have to watch people's pockets because if we keep raising the prices of everything, we will outprice ourselves out of the market. And then you wouldn't have people to come to experience the greatest experience ever because they simply wouldn't be able to afford it. And that is something that we as a carnival economy need to be careful with. And Gypsy, what I think needs to happen, and this is where the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts will have to come in as well, is that you have to have a stakeholders meeting with all the carnival stakeholders, the flights, the hoteliers, the taxi association. Everybody had to sit at a table and say, hey, what are we going to do about this? Because 5 years from now, if this trend keeps rising, then Trinidad and Tobago Carnival will be too expensive for a foreigner to come. And they will have no choice but to go to a carnival that is closer to them or is cheaper to them.
And I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you because I am once to say that the greatest export that we have out of Trinidad and Tobago is Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival. Mm-hmm. We have exported Carnival out of Trinidad and Tobago to the point where people really don't really have to come here.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, long ago, when you see a foreigner in Trinidad, you could have tell that's a foreigner that come for Carnival. You see jewelry from here to there. They have the cameras and all kind of stuff, and now they don't do that. But they could do that in New York, and they could do it in Canada. So we have to look, we really have to look at the security aspects, one. And also, you are the person responsible for the fetting fraternity. Mm-hmm. So I am saying to you, that as the president of that fraternity, you have an opportunity to call in some of these FET promoters, because somebody was telling me up to yesterday that they had some FET somewhere, I don't want to call the name of the place, that the FET legally was like $1,200 to go in, and people were selling the tickets for $2,500. Yeah. And how can we, I mean, I can't control that, that's not what I could control things that the NCC do, but I can't control that. That's, that aspect of it. But they are profiteering. They are profiteering on the carnival, and they are the ones who are inflating it, really. Right. Because you can't tell me that there are no FET that you had to pay $2,000 to go to for it to be.
But that side, I think there's more the scalpers, Gypsy. So we,
but but I understand that the real FET itself is $1,200 to go in.
Well, so that is the other aspect of the economy that the FET promoters facing. So people seeing the FET price, tickets going up. The last thing a promoter ever wants to do is to increase the price of the FET. People think you have greedy promoters, and you probably do, because we don't represent every single promoter. So you have promoters who you would say greedy, and they would increase their prices. But it's not that. The majority of promoters try to never increase their ticket prices, because Trinidad and Tobago's salaries haven't gone up for years. The majority of the population ain't really see a big salary increase in a couple of years. So the average person pocket, in terms of what they have in terms of what we call disposable income that you could spend on FETs, hasn't gone up. So your FET promoter ain't trying to raise the ticket price, because he know the people ain't going to really be able to afford it. And the higher your price is, the less people could afford it, and the less people will come into the FET. So we try never to do that. However, promoters are being faced with an issue of everybody else increasing their prices. Right. So as much as you trying to hold your ticket price, the police sending a set of police to your thing. So your police bill going up, and then the police want to get a pay increase as well of their 4%. So when police pay going up by 4%, what do you think will happen to the promoter? His police bill going up by 4% too.
But so, as you're saying that, I'm talking about the police. Stick a pin where you and I want you, because this is a small, short diversion. I was listening to the news. Now we have all these international media that we have, right? In social media and what have you. And anything you say goes around the world in seconds. And I am hearing this policeman or this police person on the radio saying that our carnival could be in jeopardy, because if the police don't get pay, if they don't get some kind of pay raise or some kind of stuff like that. And I asking these police people or whoever saying these kind of thing about, they have to be careful with the recklessness that they're saying, because to me, as far as I am concerned, that is a reckless statement. Because when we are trying to get people to come to Trinidad, and they are hearing the police service of Trinidad and Tobago saying the carnival could be in jeopardy because the police, if they don't get this increase, and because they will withhold their service. I mean, that's a reckless statement as far as I am concerned. And I am asking the whoever that is in the police service saying these kind of things publicly, please stop saying it. Because this very carnival that we are promoting, the government might be very well waiting until the money from this carnival comes in to pay you your money that they owe you. And when you go out there and make these kind of reckless statements, it is putting you saying Carnival might be in jeopardy, but because you are making those reckless statements, you are putting our Carnival in jeopardy. On the very money that the government might be waiting on to pay you your money.
So we had to be careful with public statements in
be
terms
careful
of the
with those kind of
positions.
reckless statements. So whoever that police officer is, or the police officers are, I am asking you on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival to please stop making those reckless statements, because all these fete promoters and things still have to find money to pay all the overtime.
No, it's big money. I think people do understand that too.
We pay them millions of dollars.
Yeah,
Millions of dollars.
It's a lot of
police.
money. But I don't want to only harp on them, because it's not only them.
No, it's not just
because the
them.
prices of a lot of even venues. I will give you an example.
Yeah.
There was one promoter who faced a venue where they would charge about $70,000 for the rental of the venue. This thing, it is a venue. This is where you're going to have the fete. People don't understand the cost a promoter incurs. That very said venue increased their price from last year to this year from $70,000 to $120,000.
Wow.
And you see the jump. So that's why I'm saying we have to bring everyone and sit on a table and say, here's what. We know you want to have more money in your pocket. However, if you increase your price and you increase your price and you increase yours and everybody increase theirs, the ticket price have no choice but to go up. And when the ticket price go up, the foreigner who was coming and will say, but this is too expensive. So I feel we as a Carnival community had to eat little to live long. Because if you don't do that, we will outprice ourselves with that. So the venues have gone up. The police bill has gone up. We have, in terms of, again, the CMOs, their bill has gone up.
Fire and stuff.
Fire, you still have to pay. But fire didn't go up, but everything, you still have to pay them. The suppliers, they increase all of their prices because they are saying now, well, minimum wage go up, so they have to pay their workers more. So the trussing, the lights, the sound, all of these things gone up. The security officers who were getting paid minimum wage, they've gone up. So everything gone up. So then when the promoter increases the price now, then everybody vex. But it's not that. It's the last thing the promoter wants to do is to increase their price.
Yeah. I think one of the other aspects that we need to look at, COVID-19, you know, we just, Kafa just mentioned that JN1, that's the Omicron variant, is present in Trinidad and Tobago. How has that affected your events, one? And how do you think persons are going to respond to Carnival with COVID-19 back in play?
Well, so far, basically, what I'm seeing is it has no real effect on it. I mean, if it has any effect, is a few people will be talking and saying whatever. But like Rome said, the parties are still full. Our events are still packed. Our places are still packed. So as of where we are here now, I don't think that is having any real effect, because I don't think that whatever that has taken hold of anything quite yet. But all I'm doing is asking people that whatever they do to be as careful as you possibly can be. I remember when we had the COVID, the Taste of Carnival, we put down the pods and stuff so that people could have been a little safer. Some people criticize it because people don't understand that there are things that, people criticize the sun when the rain falling and vice versa. So you can't do nothing about that. People are critical about everything. But at the end of the day, it worked well for us.
I thought it was stick fighting guy.
Yeah, and it was COVID fighting guy. It was COVID fighting guy that we had. And actually, we won the fight. We won the fight because it worked well. And I am asking people that when you go out there, you have a responsibility to yourself to be careful, do it as much as you can. There might be some kind of danger lurking. So you be careful as you can be, and do the best that you can to help us make our carnival safe and make our place. But as of now, I don't think it has taken...
You all seen it on your end? Is it affecting you?
It's not really affecting steel band. But what I do see, you may have some players that have that comorbidity or whatever, as the case says, that would wear the face mask, and that's it.
Well, I see that renegade panya the other night, and I don't think that any effect.
Well, I mean, that panyard crawler just happened for the preliminaries. I think you saw one or two face masks, and that was it.
That was fantastic.
It hasn't affected us either. We haven't seen it, but what we just keep reminding people is the same thing. Gypsy said, is not. We know COVID now. I think everyone has been educated on it to the point where we know this thing. We know what it is we're dealing with. We know this beast. and it's a matter of personal responsibility
Yeah.
now. So we advise any Fed goer to, if you're not feeling well, you sit down now, stay home.
Yeah.
If you ain't feeling well, you stay home. If you know that you're protecting someone in your household, you may need to sit out. Or if you know yourself you have comorbidities or you're not that healthy, you may have to sit out. But we're not going to tell people, well, come to our Fete in your mask, because it wouldn't make sense for us. We wouldn't tell people social distance because it's a Fete. So this is the nature of it. So you have to know that if you are susceptible to these things, you have to protect yourself.
Self-regulation.
Yeah, that is all personal security right now.
Are you all seeing a difference in the response to Carnival from last year to this year? I mean, this is the second year post the pandemic, we can say, that we've been having Carnival. Is there a difference this year?
Yes, I think that we are seeing more people coming out. I personally think we're seeing more people coming out. We're seeing more participation in basically everything that we're doing.
Yeah, I don't find last year was not, to me, to us, the Promoters Association, we didn't consider last year as the mother of all carnivals.
Right.
Because I know it was being touted as the mother of all carnivals.
You know, Rome, I want to clarify something, right? When I say the mother of all carnival, people think that I'm talking about an event or a year. I am not. And I want to make this lucidly clear that when I say the mother of all carnival, I mean Trinidad and Tobago Carnival.
Right.
It's
So
the mother
so if
of
it dies
all
what Gypsy
carnival.
and they meant by the mother of all carnivals, meaning that we would have birthed a lot of the other carnivals around
All.
the world, yes. But to say that last year was the mother of all carnivals that have happened in the past, that it would have been the biggest, I think we went into that. A lot of us, a lot of promoters, a lot of patrons would have think, wait, boy, well, coming out of COVID, this is going to be the biggest carnival we ever see, going to have the most people. We didn't see that. Last year, what we actually did see when we did our recap was that the first half of the season was very slow. A lot of Fed promoters felt the pinch, which people didn't realize. You think the Fed looking like it had people, but people bringing the venue smaller to make the people come a little closer. We felt as though last year, a lot of people were still a bit skeptical about COVID.
Yeah.
So we did not see the numbers that we would have seen in previous years. This year, however, we've seen a lot of the events being sold out and getting those numbers. So for us, this is a much better year for us than last year, which is expected. COVID was a time where
More
people are a little
confident,
bit
Trepidation,
not sure and all of that.
Yeah.
So now we seeing it, and I'm sure Gypsy always see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. People are feeling more confident now than before. They're feeling more confident because at least they know now that, you know, the thing there, but, you know, I mean, we can cope with that and we can
Yeah.
do whatever with it. So they're feeling a little more confident, and then they have a little more disposable cash.
In Steel Planet is the same better increase in ticket sales, but we also have an increase in the online sales. So persons outside of Trinidad and Tobago that may not be able to come in because of the prices or whatever as the case is, they actually just purchase their pay-per-view and stream everything there now, which also gives Trinbago an extra boost of income as well.
Okay.
I personally, anywhere I go, I want to say this, and I'm saying it now without exception, that your president, I think that she has transformed the PAN movement in a way that it has gained more respectability, and people have gained more confidence in what they do and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I want to commend her and your executive for doing that. I mean, it's a good job that she is doing and that you all are doing, you know, but led by your president. You're doing a very, very good job for the PAN movement. I like the way that you just about have PAN, you know, all through the year, just
there's no
about.
season.
And even though you're having competition, the competition starts within a certain time that gives it that uptick that it is going on all the time. And I really like that. I really like that. I think you all are doing
Well, on behalf of President Beverly Ramsey, I also want to say thank you to the NCC and of course the ministry as well for the
we support.
that
We support. It's a great
Just
support.
know NCC getting them money, everyone getting nothing from Gypsy.
Well,
Just
Fed
know.
promoters Fed promoters always should be giving us some money.
We account for
Hear me. Not that.
We
not
don't
that.
get a dollar.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't get a dollar.
we have to
Gypsy
account for
wouldn't say,
every dollar.
"Okay,
we get.
100 and something
Yeah,
million.
yeah,
Well, let me put aside something for Fed
Yeah,
promoters
this,
here.
yeah, this.
Who just bring
this.
down people and put
Yeah,
them
yeah,
away.
Hear this. Fed promoters should be giving the NCC money.
Way,
Because if
boy.
it wasn't the NCC that put on Carnival, the way we put it on, we'll have nothing to put
Hey,
on nobody.
hey.
So we just start to chat. You give me a good idea.
Yeah, what we have to do? Here's what we have to do.
Every dollar that comes through steel ban is accounted for
Yes, yes,
annually
yes,
to
yes.
the
I
government.
understand.
Yes,
Here's what
yes,
we have to
yes.
do. We have to interview the tourists who coming down for Carnival.
Uh-huh.
Get them, you know, there's full out.
Yeah.
If you have
The little questionnaires,
thing,
yeah.
You know, we
bring
do
in
that at the
fire, you bring
airport.
in thing, and say, why are you coming to Trinidad Carnival? And if you see majority of them say, we coming for NCC event, right, don't give me no money.
But
But,
you know-
anytime they say, we coming for events put on by
Yeah.
the Promoters Association, or we coming to play in this band or whatever, then NCC have to give you something.
But listen to me, and I agree with you, but here how I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing that when they put on that, right, and they tell you they're coming for X, Y, and Z, let it be known that it is because of the NCC you have that putting it on. Because if we wasn't there and doing Carnival, we would have nothing to do.
Gosh.
Listen, I want to assure you that if you having these fets outside of the Carnival foray, it is not going to be the same.
No, but we do. We promoters will have fets in the summer period. They'll have band launch season.
Never gonna be
People
the
will
same
fly
thing.
down. It won't be the
Well,
same.
once you say band launch, you start with Carnival. Once you reach there, because you are launching no band for no other reason but to participate.
we will have fets during the year and people will come in for the weekend and whatever. But what I'm saying is that with the fets, people put the fets aside and they say, well, okay, they come in for Carnival. But you're not realizing that a lot of the tourists that do come, they come for some of the events that the private promoters do.
All of this
And
is
they come
all
as
of
part
that.
of it.
All of that makes up Carnival.
Yes,
all
yes,
of that makes up Carnival.
And I
Carnival,
felt as though
that's what I
in
say.
the past, we have always, as an association, been put on the back burner and think, well, okay, NCC, because we don't fall under NCC, right? And we're not looking for no subvention from NCC. But what I would suggest is that in the Carnival budget that is spent, in terms of if the government is giving NCC money, right? And the government say, well, okay, we're giving NCC 100, how much are they getting? They say 141, okay, so you get 6 million, sure. So they say they're getting $141 million to put on Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival, which I in agreement with. NCC is the body that dictates Carnival, no problem, right? However, if the fets are a big part of Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival, why is there no sort of provisions for the feds? I ain't saying take money away from the NCC. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying have a portion of the Carnival budget that is allocated to Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival to cater to the feds. Whether it is, see, here what's going on. NCC, we're giving all the 147 million, cool. And the private sector, in terms of the promoters, we have a portion of money here. I mean, I'm saying 147 million, you know? I say, if they say, okay, we're giving only $5 million. And with this $5 million, y'all apply and y'all can come now and we give the support to the event so we can help to grow this thing. Or we say, yeah, what? We're going to put a venue where, all right, this is where feds could be held safely. They're not disturbing anybody. But we put in a portion of money every year to help to keep building the private sector in terms of the feds, because a big part of Carnival that people not seeing is the feds. And a lot of the tourists who come here come for the feds. And while they're here for the feds, they participate in the cultural stuff. They participate in the pan. People come for pan too.
Oh.
And no, they do. I'm just saying that I had to represent for the feds. But a lot of the people come for the feds. People come for Soca Brainwash and for Scorch and for Caesar's Army, and they do Gypsy.
People come for every aspect of Carnival. When people come here, it's a holistic thing. They come because some people come early, some people come late. And if you look at the arrivals in Trinidad and Tobago, it can tell you what they're coming here for. Because the arrivals will tell you when the arrivals are up and when the arrivals are down.
Right.
Even during the Carnival season. And we have those things because the CSO they do these things for us. So we know exactly how the arrival happens and when it happens. And I was asked that same question at the parliamentary committee meeting. They asked you, how do I know that it's for Carnival? I say, how does Carib know that they sell more Carib or more beer or whatever it is around Carnival time? Is because the Carnival activities make them do it. It's the same reason why people come here. People come because of the activities that are happening and the hype in the Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival, which all the aspects that you
Yeah,
spoke
but
about
Gypsy, what I'm
creates
saying is that we are never considered in that discussion.
You are considered
No, because we get nothing. We get
everything.
We get fight.
You don't
and
know
we ain't
what you're
getting
getting.
nothing.
You're getting everything.
I need to
because the
referee this
atmosphere,
time?
yeah, referee. Because you
we
know
ain't
what?
getting-
The atmosphere is created for you, for the private sector to do what they have to do. You cannot have a private sector that depend on public funding to do their thing. Then it's not a private sector.
We're not depending on it because right now we're flourishing without it.
Well,
but what we
continue.
But what we're saying
You're
is
doing a good job.
But what we're saying is that you're not investing in it to allow it to grow. You're letting us do all the work by ourselves, and we're watching them.
That is
we're
not
watching
quite
the
true,
government pump money into the NCC
In some of
and
these,
give all the money to
Yes.
put on the carnival, which okay.
Yes.
But
they
however,
get, not only to put on Carnival, we get money to do. We get money to do other things for Trinidad and
no, you all do a lot of things in terms of the
Lot.
infrastructure that has to be
And-
put in place
and
in the
we-
carnival.
and
and
Even
not just
and
with
we
the
promote-
international
and we promote it
promotions and-
internationally.
yeah.
We do everything.
right, but
So we
but-
cause the people who come to your fete to actually come here because we spend money on bringing them here. We go all over the place. As a matter of fact,
Gypsy,
right now
the people ain't coming here. The people who come in here for the feds is the people not coming here to go to the NCC stuff.
No, it
the
is-
only thing they
no,
will
no.
partake in
It is
really
not
is the
the
carnival
NCC.
parade itself.
Let me tell you, the whole thing about it, once you say carnival season, right?
Mhm.
You talk about the NCC.
Right.
Once you say that, and your things are held within the carnival season. What we do when we are not here, we go outside of Trinidad and Tobago, promote our carnival, and encourage people to come into Trinidad and Tobago. And when the people come in, so much so that people are calling us now, the NCC, to come. We're going to Dubai, we're going to Ghana, we're going to everywhere to promote. And I want to get into these markets, because when we get into these markets, then it would mean that
So when you going, wait. So when you going to promote Trinidad and Tobago Carnival in wherever, Ghana and Dubai, you carrying anybody from the promoter association?
we don't have to carry
Well, you don't have to carry me by, but you're carrying somebody from PAN.
what we carry
Because
you
PAN is
for.
part of that. You're carrying somebody from Tukoko, that is Calypso. But FET
what
is a
in-
big part of it.
what-
You ain't carrying we, yeah?
What instrument the FET display?
What you mean? But you know, say the FET is a big part of
It's a
Trinidad
part,
and Tobago
yeah,
Carnival.
because it
But you're
create-
excluding that
No,
when
we're
you're
not
promoting
excluding
the
it.
carnival.
We not excluding you. We carrying things that would promote it. So what we carrying you to the carry a FET to them?
Well, no, you carry the person who can sell it as a music festival.
But they don't have to. We are selling the carnival.
So what you carrying? You're carrying a CPAN with you to play it to them?
Well, we do carry pan.
Right.
And
so
we
you're
do,
carrying a
carry
Moko
some
Jumbi with
mass.
you?
Yeah, we do carry some mass.
Right.
So what we carrying a FET promoter to do dance? what we carrying you for? Tell me what we gonna carry for.
But what the point I'm
We
trying
are
to bring
creating,
across.
we are creating the atmosphere. We are creating the atmosphere
Mm,
for the people to see what we're doing. There's a physical,
mm.
and they want to know where this physical come from. And when they're going to come to this physical, they're going to find all the things, the aspect of it. Like when you go into a museum, and when you go in there, you see every aspect of that museum inside of there. It's like when you come into Trinidad and Tobago for Carnival, you're going to find all the aspects of Carnival inside of there. What we do when we go out there is we promote all of this, and we tell them what we have. We show them what we do. And where all the other things that we have exported come from, we let them know that, listen, this what you see in here is a snippet of what we have, where all this come from. And that is what makes us so successful, and that's what makes us so unique. But I am also saying to you that because we have exported our carnival to all these parts of the world, every Caribbean island basically now have a carnival. Trinidad and Tobago is so south of everything. We are one of the hardest places to reach in the world. North America, you could go. No, I'm serious. North America. Wait, listen. North America, you can go to the carnival on a roller skate. Because if you have the energy to roller skate from California to New York, you could just roller skate to come to Labor Day, and vice versa. You could do that in Canada. You could do it in England. Any part of Europe, you could take anything, a bicycle, and ride to the only how you could get to Trinidad.
Here where I disagree with you.
Tell me.
With all your missions, right? When you take a contingent to go to Miami Carnival or to Dubai, and you carry a Moko Jumbi, a pan player, a fancy Indian, or whoever, and you do it in the embassy and whatever, right? It look good. You take out 2-3 pictures, you put your on the papers, Gypsy promoting Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival. But in reality, what we see on our end, right, is as the promoters who just go to these countries and put on the FET in their thing. It is have a soca brainwash everywhere. It have a carnival in the world. It have a soca brainwash there. It have a Scotch duck work in there. It have a Sears Army ambush in there. And the private promoters are the ones who go out there and bring their product and develop this carnival. And that is when the people say, wait boy, this is just a little taste. Where this real original thing coming from is Trinidad and Tobago.
And you are doing a good
average
job.
tourist who going out there say, boy, you know what? I see Gypsy come up here with a damn Lorraine, you know, boy, and I had to go and see where that thing come from.
You'll be surprised to know that they do.
But I'm not saying no, but I'm saying is that it do operate in silos, and the way how all you
Nothing
do
is supposed.
those
Listen,
things
let me explain
is
something.
in a silo.
You are saying the right thing all the time, you know. I'm listening to you and you're saying the right thing. Somebody can't be half pregnant, you know. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You can't be saying a private thing in the same sentence that you're using, you want me to do that. It's a private thing, is exactly that.
Right.
You are promoting your private events inside of a public event. And it is as simple as that. And you continue to do what you're doing. What you're doing, you're successful in doing it.
Right.
Continue to do that. These are the things that we are promoting. We are promoting Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival, where you become a part of it because you are promoting your things inside of there. As a matter of fact, you might have even more events than even the NCC at the end of the day, because you are a private entity. And you don't have to tell the government nothing about nothing you do except pay them the taxes, you know, if they so desire to get it from you.
No, but
That's
I don't want you to get the wrong impression. I think what Gypsy and they doing is important, because what the NCC, in my opinion, has a dedicated responsibility for is to keep the traditional aspect of Trinidad Carnival alive. And they do that, and they do spread it globally. So as much as I will give him pong, I have to give him kudos for that. But what I'm saying is that the point I'm really trying to bring across is that I don't want people to think as though the Fed promoters is a wine and jam thing.
No.
Is that the Fed promoters, when they do export their Fed products to the different areas in the world, it does help to contribute to the promotion of Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival. Yeah. And as a result of that, that is where I felt as though sometimes when they're doing their allocations, that even if it's not a monetary allocation towards the private sector, is that some consideration is given, whether it's to develop the industry by putting the proper infrastructure in place, stepping in and saying, okay, let's have a one-stop license shop that they were discussing in the past. Let's have stakeholder agreements where you don't just exclude the promoters from the discussions when it comes to developing Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival and just making it better.
And I'm agreeing with you, and I'm saying to you that we are doing that, you know. All the things that you are saying there is being done. But it's not being done to come and tell every private, or to tell your association, the private promoters association, that we're doing this and we're doing that. You doing it, we are creating the atmosphere for you.
No, Gypsy, you can't do that behind closed doors. Because if you're doing that,
but we are not doing it behind closed doors.
Oh, I don't know about that.
We have a ministry to deal with it, and we have an entity dealing with it. We don't do it behind closed doors. We're doing it there. That is what we are paid to do. That's what we are doing.
No, but
and we are doing it.
I would always fight.
I don't know what your organization is doing. I don't know what your organization is saying. And I'm agreeing with you, you know, because as the president of anything, as the chairman of the National Carnival Commission, my job is to defend the National Carnival Commission and to do the things that the National Carnival Commission is commissioned to do. And your job is to do your job, what you are commissioned to do. And that is to represent the private promoters organization in whatever way you have to. So I'm agreeing with you. His job through Trinbago has an affiliation because of who we are, what we do, and how all of this come into being. You operate by yourself in a silo. They don't, you know. They have a commission through the National Carnival Commission to operate. That is a parliamentary thing. So we have to operate like how we operated. That's the entity. Your entity, you are using the right word for your entity all the time. A private entity and the private promoter.
No, but
you don't have to come to us for your money.
No, Gypsy.
Every money they spend, they have to tell.
You're saying private, but here's what operates private, but the government pays attention to it. The manufacturing sector is a private sector.
Yes.
But doesn't the government focus on the manufacturing
by
sector
easing
give-
their taxes
Right.
and what have you,
but
because
they
here
would
what?
give them, they would make sure there is proper infrastructure in place.
Not
They
the
will
government.
broker
They
the-
have to put the infrastructure for themselves.
No, but they
what
will
the
have
government
the different
does,
parks. Then they just open this big Phoenix park.
but
thing,
they have to
and
pay.
put
They have to
infrastructure-
pay to go
but
in
you have to
inside of
pay,
there.
but
They
what
have to
about-
pay.
And that's what I'm telling you. The infrastructure is for us. Yeah, we ain't telling you come and give us the money, but put
Well,
infrastructure
well,
in place.
listen
Say,
what-
here's what
let me
we
tell you.
have: designated venues around the country,
So-
which are event spaces.
let me tell you
where
what to
you
do.
could go and have your event. We
I
used to
could
get
tell you-
trouble to have fet last year, Bacchanal to
Right.
have fet in the Hazy Crawford Stadium because people are around complaining about noise. Brian Lara Stadium, Bacchanal again. The religious organization saying they don't want people come out there and
They don't like
looting
Carnival, they don't
and
like
noise
Carnival.
and so every time
Yeah,
a
they
promoter try to throw a fet in a venue is a problem now because we don't have
So-
designated event spaces. If you can't have an event in a stadium, which is a sporting facility, which supposed to anywhere in the world, big events happen in stadium compounds. If our
Anyway.
stadiums are not being zones for events, then where else you want a promoter to
So
have?
let me give you something by way of advice. And this is free, you don't have to pay the NCC for it. I would like you to, when you leave here, find a way to lobby with the government on behalf of your organization, just like the Manufacturers Association would lobby the government or the Supermarket Association would lobby the government, because those are all private entities,
Mhm,
just like your good self.
mhm.
Go and lobby the government for the things that you think
Mm.
that you want, and have them see that this is a viable lobbying that you're bringing to them. This is a viable proposition, and see if they can have a buy-in to it. And in the future, let them give you the same kind of concession that they are giving to all other private entities. Because I myself sometimes find myself in saying, how come when some entity from somewhere coming to build some kind of factory or something in Trinidad, the government give them all these 5 and 10 and 15 years concession.
Mhm.
And when I write here, I building something in my own country and trying to, I ain't getting nothing.
Mhm.
But I am not lobbying for it, and that is the problem.
Well, they part of the lobby, yeah.
Well, no, well, I don't know. I think what you need is a more formal lobby.
Lobby.
So I give you this by way of advice, to take that advice and go to them
Yeah.
and have them put it in some kind of, some kind of way that they would.
Well, gentlemen, I know that we could go all day.
Oh, we can.
Interesting
We're talking about
conversation.
Carnival. We're talking about Carnival. Carnival.
Of course.
Carnival is non-ending.
It's never, and it will never end.
And
This
I
is
hope
our
it-
culture.
I hope it
This is what we
doesn't.
do.
I hope it doesn't. I
Yeah.
hope long after I'm gone, we have it. And I hope that in my own tenure, I would have done whatever to make it a better entity than I met it.
Yeah.
So I would love to see it. I love Carnival, I don't celebrate Christmas. I love Carnival. Carnival, we created Carnival, and I am in love with Carnival. I'm a Carnival person.
Yeah.
And I love our Carnival. And our Carnival is the greatest Carnival on the face of the earth. And I want to keep it like that. And I'm not saying this in a frivolous way. It is. If it wasn't, everybody would not want to emulate it.
Yeah. I think
And
that's,
that is
that's
what this is.
I think that's a good place that we can end.
Yes.
At least for this time.
This time,
episode.
we're
We're gonna have a round. And I hope you all take your medication. in the morning.
Thank you.
So let me just thank Rome, Marcus, and Gypsy for joining us on another episode of Delving Deeper. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Pleasure is mine.
All right, so as we go on a programming note, due to TTT's Carnival coverage, Delving Deeper will resume on Sunday, February 18th. Right, so we're taking a break for Carnival. And I'm Ayana Carter, and on behalf of all of us here, have a good night.